Hi, I'm Reg Watson. I'm a professor of fisheries and ecological modeling at the University of Tasmania, the Institute of Marine and Antarctic Studies. I'm a co-author on a global study published in Nature Scientific Reports that looks at the impacts of closing high seas fishing. Well, what's happened over time is that the coastal waters, which are the easiest to access and where most of the fisheries are very rich and historically have supported people, those fisheries have been more depleted, and it's been worthwhile, especially with subsidies, for fisheries to move further and further offshore into the high sea areas. There's a problem with managing these areas because they don't fall under any national laws. It's a bit like the Wild West, really. It also causes problems with equity between nations, because the small island nations normally, say, the tuna stocks would move into their waters and they could be harvested, and instead of that, the large multinational fleets will take them before they come to their waters, so they actually miss out. There's also a little bit of trying to sell fisheries resources within access to fisheries resources in your waters, so there's some illegal fishing aspects of that. But in addition, there's safety concerns, and also huge amounts of fuel are consumed in these fleets chasing these fairly limited amount of resources across the great ocean expanses. Yes, what we are trying to look at is how much would be lost if we just wait for those resources, some of them, to move back into the coastal waters and don't go pursuing them with huge amounts of energy and fuel, and the equity problems and safety problems that brings. And also the fact that those areas unfished might contribute to the coastal areas. Many of the EU vessels fish very far from home, and of course it's becoming a very standard thing for big nations when they can't meet their requirements, or they have resources to do so. They might go elsewhere and start fishing the resources of other countries. Well, all of the small island countries would potentially benefit from these kind of changes. They would basically have the opportunity to have more of these resources within their own waters harvested, whether they chose to harvest them themselves or still sold access rights to other countries. That would be up to them. But as it is now, if you were to map where some of these fleets say they're fishing, you'd find that they create this silhouette around the claimed waters of each country, where they typically claim that they're not coming within the waters of the country, but coincidentally just on the boundary, where these countries without any enforcement capability really have no capacity to know what's happening. And now, of course, we're moving into the era where these things are tracked by satellites. We do have a possibility of making these grander arrangements.